Hello, and welcome to Amateur Philosophers Play Games. I'm Noah, your host.
And I'm Justin, the gamer.
And this is the show where we play video games and discuss philosophical ideas, problems, and philosophize about random topics. So, Justin, I've been thinking about murder lately. Not committing it, maybe, but...
I was going to say, that'd be a bad idea.
Yeah. So, I've been thinking about the idea of it, what it is. And because it's interesting, murder is one of the most universally, throughout all cultures, agreed evil things to do. Generally, we consider it one of the most evil things an average human can commit. So, it's interesting. And to my knowledge, we can argue on the legal details, but typically murder is defined as premeditated, intentional will to kill another human. So it's interesting. That makes sense. But it brings up...
Yeah.
And
not always premeditated. It doesn't have to be premeditated.
Yeah, usually. But like intentional, or at least you're not... If it's an accident, if you drop something and it happens to fall on someone you didn't know was there, we don't consider that murder because it wasn't intentional.
Right. There has to be an intent of saying this could kill you, and that I'm okay with that.
Yes. But there's one weird thing about this definition that's not weird to most people, but, to us philosophers, we're not most people. Mostly. Yeah, unless we are.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's intention to kill another human, but what is a human exactly?
Oh.
Because we kill animals all the time. Like just yesterday, I had some delicious pork pho, which is a Vietnamese meat dish. A pig had to die for that, but we don't consider it murder. And yeah.
There are those among us, Noah.
Yeah, there are,
who argue that that is murder.
Yes.
So I know it's not the general. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, that's not I'd say that's not the general population. The majority of people now and historically view the killing of animal for food, or even just if say animals are harassing you. Like back in the old days, shepherds would kill off wolves and sheep or wolves and bears and stuff because they were harming to the livestock. So we don't consider that murder. But why not? I mean, murder is a very human-centric thing, but we have to know what it means to be a human in order to define that, I think. So.
Yes.
So you
have to know what you have to know.
So I was thinking about this topic a little bit beforehand, which is, not too super common for us, but we try. And I think it might be easier to start with what a human is not than what a human is, weirdly enough.
Okay.
At least that's the way I think. I like to think when I'm trying to define a term or understand something, I find it's easiest to start with what it's not and then generally narrow it down until you can finally decide what it is. So, for starters... that did not go well.
Link is no longer a human. If he is one, he's no longer.
Yeah. So
he's barbecue.
We say we can agree animals, plants, rocks are not humans, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, and if you and I and presumably the person watching this are humans, right? Maybe.
Yes.
If any non-human civilizations are watching this, hello. I plan to talk about you in a minute, but we're focusing on the human watchers at the moment.
Which is very common. We're very, what's the word? We're very egocentric people.
Yeah. We are. We tend to think of ourselves more than we think of others, which should be a whole interesting topic in of itself. But what does it take to be a human? So, for example, we say typically a human has 4 limbs, 2 arms and 2 legs, right? So if I get in an accident and one of my arms has to be amputated, am I still human?
I would argue yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. How about 2 arms?
Yes.
3 limbs, 2 arms and a leg.
Yes.
Okay.
Still a human.
Yeah. So you start to see. All right. So maybe that's not required. How about let's get into the realm of science fiction a little bit. If for those Futurama fans out there, if just my head is preserved, my head and my brain are preserved in a jar from some science or some advanced scientific technique. Am I still a human, or is my head still a human? How does that work?
Yes, you are still human. It is a human head in a jar.
Okay. But for clarity's sake, let's say my arm is also preserved in a different jar, and it's not... we'll say for now it's not moving on its own or anything, but it's preserved. My arm, we don't consider that a human, right? So if you could dispose of the arm. So yeah, I've been in a horrible accident.
Acting independently. It's not alive anymore.
No,
it's just not rotting.
Right. Yeah, it's not rotting because we preserved it, and this turned out a lot more gruesome than I was thinking it would at first. But you know, it's what we're here for.
Yeah, you're going real Frankenstein on me here.
Exactly. I don't think you're hitting him very. You might want to shoot him. That might help.
I wasn't ready to go. Now not so much. Now I'm gonna die.
Yeah, that's true. So, let's take it a step further. Now it's no longer my entire head. Just my brain has been excavated and is kept artificially alive through some dark science, artificial blood and things. But it's still conscious, or at least I think I'm still conscious in some way. Am I still a human?
I would argue that yes, you're still human.
Okay.
Still a human being.
Interesting.
I'm gonna die. I think because I don't have any more weapons.
Oh, you're gonna need those. How did you run out of weapons?
I need a shop, Noah, and I need more like green things.
You know, in this game, you don't buy weapons at shops. You typically find weapons around. You find weapons and take them from monsters, usually. That's how you get them.
Oh.
But,
well, Okay. Where is it? Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Right. So a brain in a jar.
A flaming bat? Yes, a brain in a jar is still a human being.
Huh, okay.
Even though, like, it doesn't have its full body. Your full body is not what contains your being.
Right. Okay. So let's go the other direction. Now, let's say, by some terrible science, my brain has been removed from the rest of my body, and the brain has been destroyed, either by accident or whatever. But the rest of the body is kept artificially alive, again, via science. My blood is artificially kept pumping, my heart keeps moving, my lungs are forced to breathe. Is that still human?
I would argue that it is a human body, but you do not exist anymore.
Okay. So
you are no longer alive. Like, you're saying you're conscious, but like your consciousness is linked, like being in your head. Like it's in your brain.
Right.
Like whether or not you are conscious is depending on your brain.
I mean, for now, I think we could say that. It's...
Oh my god, I had just enough weapons.
Yay, I think you can grab... Hey, you can shoot
Fire
fireballs now.
rod.
It does...
Yeah, let's put that away.
Yeah.
Alright.
Alright, indeed.
Okay, so you were saying?
Yeah, so I was saying, for now, I think we can say it's mostly linked to your body. But that's what I was saying. So, would it be murder to end the life of this artificially still living body that doesn't have a brain?
This is interesting, because this is kind of similar to if someone is brain dead and they're on life support.
Yeah. So obviously that's the more practical application. I was starting with the more abstract, but yeah, that is definitely the direction this would go. So if someone is brain dead or in a permanent coma with no chance of waking up, are they still human?
See, now I have to backtrack because it seems like I said that no. If you have you're artificially kept alive, then you're no longer a human being. Like you are gone. But it seems that I am getting a different inclination when it comes to saying that people that are brain dead are not people.
Right. Which, again, that's not typically something we want to say, but I don't know. Again, in philosophy, I don't think we should avoid saying things just because we don't want to. We're seeking the truth, or at least we're seeking to entertain all of you lovely viewers with our seeking for the truth, which is not exactly the same thing, but close enough.
Yeah.
All right, let's try a different angle here.
Okay.
Let's say this is the other thing I was thinking of. We, as a civilization, make contact with an alien species who are... Oh no. Joy-Con has a low battery. That's not good. Oh, well. What could go wrong?
We'll be fine.
Let's say we, as a species, make contact with an alien race who are clearly intelligent enough to build starships and communicate with us. And, you know, a lot of science fiction ends up you go to war with the alien species. But let's say, for our example, we don't. Our two civilizations are able to somewhat peacefully coexist, and we can even meet each other and interact with each other at the same time. So now this comes to the question of, if I meet a alien in a dark alley one day and shoot it in the head and kill it, is that murder? Because which the question comes down to, is that a human? Or I suppose a better way to put it would be, does an alien deserve human rights, as it were? Because we talk about human rights a lot in that's a form of ethics.
Yeah, you started this out with ethics. There was no.
Yeah, there was no avoiding ethics today, but that's okay. We gotta get ethical once in a while.
Yeah. Okay, so is that a human? Well, we know it's not a human, right? Or because by definition, being alien means it's not human.
Is it?
Yes, by definition, alien means not human.
Okay. But then
humans are earthly beings,
right? But then
so
our
extraterrestrials are not.
We would have to consider, because our entire code of ethics is dictated around interacting with other humans, right? We don't consider it stealing to take something from a dog. It's not murder to kill a pig for food, but it is murder or theft or fraud or whatever when you're dealing with another human. So if we made contact with an alien civilization, would we have to update our ethical code to include them? Or would we just say, they're not humans, they don't qualify they don't qualify for the same rights and ethical code as we do?
Well, I've seen something similar happen with other creatures. So, for instance, octopuses is correct, plural. Octopuses are very intelligent, and they're very, not just like smart, like they are creative and like resourceful. And so a lot of people feel like my sister, for instance, won't eat octopus anymore because they're so smart. She's like, they're sentient, basically. And then I can't be eating a sentient being. That just seems wrong to me. So I think that, we would update the code and say, well, if the aliens are similar enough to us that we can, do politics with them, basically, then no, we can't eat them. If you can do politics with it, no, you can't eat it.
But we don't do politics with octopuses.
No, but I would think that I'm saying that I think that's how we would update the moral code.
Okay.
Is that we would say, okay, because they're so sentient and so intelligent, no, whether or not they are human is irrelevant. They deserve rights because, well, they're sentient, and that's basically what we like to think that makes humans so special. All right, now question is, if I jump, will I die?
Right.
It's X.
You have a paraglider, so probably not.
Yeah.
You have to do it. See, you can fly in this game, kind of. You can glide in this game anyway.
This isn't flying. This is falling
with style. So yeah, I suppose then we could ask the question, well, all right, if it's sentience that gives a person human rights, we go back to the brain dead or the permanent coma. We could even make it funny and say, all right, what if we come across an alien who's brain dead?
Right.
But yeah, it's very interesting because we tend to think that humanness. All right, time to get a little teaching mode. If I recall, there's an idea in philosophy that many schools subscribe to called dualism, correct?
Yes, dualism is pretty cool.
Yeah. For the uninitiated, dualism is effectively the idea that a human is more than just the meat suit walking around and eating things and dying eventually. A human has both the meat part and the soul or spirit or mind or animus, or that's a little hard to define tangibly.
It is the thing that is doing the thinking.
Yeah.
Your brain is like the manner or the way you do it, but when you think like in your head, oh, I'm going to go to the store, the thing that's saying I'm going to go to the store.
Yeah. And we've touched on this in previous videos before, but that's a whole personal identity, and this would be kind of getting into what is a soul or a mind or what have you. But for now, I think we can just say, yeah, inner part. Now, there are some schools of thought that don't believe there is a inner part, a soul or a mind. I'm going to call it soul from now on, just for simplicity's terminology. But keep in mind, for anyone listening, replace that idea with mind or sense of self or whatever you want. So there are some schools of thought that don't believe in the existence of a soul. Funnily enough, if you recall our previous, was it our previous or a few weeks ago? Mechanical determinism typically doesn't jive with the idea of a soul because, well, your body's just a machine that's reacting to stimuli. There's no need for a soul in this worldview.
Yeah.
Right. But we already spent a while clowning on mechanical determinism last time, so I don't think we need to retread that ground.
No. Besides, it's wrong anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think there is a possible answer to the brain dead person and the fact that we rely on sentience as being the qualification for human.
Right.
A lot of times I've heard people say, like, what you do is, even though the person at the moment they can't consent to anything, like they can't
Ooh, hold on, real quick.
How do I go around here?
Look to your left again. Look left over the canyon. See that tall tower thing sticking out of the rock? Oh,
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Okay. I feel like that was a very subtle hint, Noah.
Very subtle. Look, you've been wandering around directionless for a while. I know it's very...
No, I've been going towards this dot over there.
Okay. You know what? Never mind. I'll stop backseat gaming.
No. I mean, I was just stuck on how to get over there, but since
I mean, it's a journey, obviously.
Yeah. So, what you do is, because the person at one point was sentient, prior to being brain dead or being in the coma, their last wishes before that, so like they said, oh, don't pull the plug, or I don't know, talk dirty to me every Friday while I'm in a coma. That way I can know that something's happening. We say that because they were sentient and they were capable when they made that request, you have to honor it. So if they said, don't pull the plug on me, well, okay, you can't pull the plug on them then. Like, that would be an act of murder.
All right.
That went against their wishes.
So next question: if a baby is born with a terrible the terrible condition that renders the baby brain dead at birth, but everything else is still functioning, heart beating, lungs breathing, is that a human?
I think here it gets more a little more gray because people have it's a hot topic.
It is.
And I feel like people would. There's two ways you could say this. One way you could say it is that, well, if you knew prior, you should just get an abortion and end the pregnancy, because at that point, most people who are pro-abortion would say that it's not a human being at that point anyway, because it's not sentient or because of some other reason. So they would say just abort it. And I think that logically they should say, oh yeah, you could just kill the baby and it'd be fine, even after it's been born. I feel like logically they would have to say that. I don't know if they would be okay with saying that, but I feel like that's what logically it would go, is that, well, it's not any different. Oh, that is a big boy.
It is.
I'm gonna take a step back real quick and reevaluate my life.
You're on a podcast playing video games and talking about if babies are humans. I think take a step back and reevaluate your life is a good choice in general. But that's neither here nor there. We are slaves to content, dear viewers. We do this all for you, and also for us, but mostly for you.
Yeah. Okay. So, I feel like logically they'd have to be consistent and say that, well, okay, yes, because the baby isn't like sentient now, and you are the parent, you get to decide what is best for it. So that would include, okay, well, you shouldn't be alive. I feel like that would be okay. I feel like, personally, I would still call that murder, and the reason would be is that no reasonable person would say that, oh, just because I have this mental disability, I should die. Like, if you were in that state and, assuming that you could reason to yourself, you wouldn't say, yeah, I want to die. Yeah, I should be dead. I don't count as human.
Right.
So I feel like that would be murder. Like, that would be my reason for it, is that if you put someone else in that position, doesn't have the disability, but is still sentient enough like to reason with themselves, they would say, don't do that. Like, I would rather be alive. So therefore it would be murder to me. And I think the same goes for if someone who is in a coma. Like, if a reasonable person wouldn't be like, okay, yeah, this is fine, just murder me. I feel like then you have to be like, no, it's murder.
Right. I think the important thing is, we're not even talking about whether or not you should kill the... whether or not you should kill the person. It's whether you could and consider it ethical or moral. Because...
Yeah, well, okay, no, unless you're going to argue that murder is moral, I would say that...
like I said at the beginning,
that's
I think
a hot
I'm
take.
pretty safe with just assuming... I'm pretty safe not having to argue that murder is... I'm pretty safe not having to argue that murder is immoral. I think we can take... We don't have to spend too much time on that topic. But yes. Alright, so we've established if you're just a brain in a vat, you count as human.
What? That fire rod was terrible.
I mean, it was cool.
It was so hard. It was so hard for me to like use it and win, like to like survive. This it broke like after one dude.
Wait, you're completely out of weapons, aren't you?
Yes. Technically, I have a bow.
I guess. You have the runes that you can use for bombs, I guess.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weapon. Doesn't do very much damage, but it does count.
Okay.
So yeah.
Anyway, you were saying.
So anyway, I was saying if you're a brain in a vat, you're a human. But if your body is separated from that brain in a vat, it's not human? Is that the conclusion we came to?
If your brain is separated from the...
So yeah, let's say, again, our super science fiction, my brain is removed and it's kept artificially alive, and let's say I'm conscious in it, and then my body is also kept artificially alive, separate from that brain. Is that body a human?
The body is not a human, the brain is a human.
Okay.
It is a human body, but it is not a human because it cannot be sentient. It cannot think. It cannot do anything independently. It is just a big thing.
Right, but yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is gets into a lot of science fiction-y topics about also, for example, artificially created humans. That's a big common thing in science fiction, cloning or. Ooh, okay, here's one. So let's go back to our alien civilization, who we agreed they're not human, but they are deserving of human rights, right?
Right.
So
We
now,
would obviously change the name, but yes.
okay, deserving of intelligence rights. How about? Let's use that term. What if the alien civilization we make is a group of robots who say, oh no, we are just machines, we were built by a different civilization that doesn't exist anymore, but we still are following our last programming, which was to explore the galaxy and trade with fledgling civilizations, and I don't know, whatever. Science fiction novel writers go nuts. Would the robot civilization... would the robots be deserving of intelligence rights, or would we have free reign to disassemble them whenever we saw them for parts and not feel guilty about it?
That's actually a really good one. I would think that... Oh no. Why am I climbing the wall? Don't climb a wall. Why do you climb a wall? Nobody told him to climb a wall.
If you walk toward a wall and then press up, you climb the wall.
See, this does get into, and this is actually really scary considering what's like where we are.
Yeah,
in the world with AI.
Not anytime soon, but it is within
I don't know,
eyeshot.
man. Elon Musk seems really confident.
Elon Musk is confident about a lot of things, but it's not out of the realm of possibility that in our lifetime we'll meet robots that, even if they're not intelligent, at least can put on a good enough act to fool a human.
Yes. So the question we're asking is it okay to like
would it be considered murder?
Shut down these sentient robots?
I'm not going to claim they're sentient, because that gets into the question of, can a machine ever be sentient, which I don't think, but that's a different topic entirely. Let's just...
well, then I say yes. Go ahead. Disassemble the robots.
All right.
Like if it's basically you're just telling me my computer can talk to me, and like I don't know, do online trading with me, then I say yes, I can disassemble it for parts and not feel guilty.
Interesting. And then if the if the robot army now turned hostile and started invading Earth because that's part of their directive, would we? I mean, we wouldn't like that, obviously, but would we feel guilty about? Or, I guess the question: should we feel guilty about disassembling the first scouts, or would we just feel, wow, I wish we hadn't done that. That turned out kind of poorly.
Wait, I'm not sure what you mean. Like, would we feel bad that we shut them down or destroyed them because
let's say part of these robots' directive and programming is that if they encounter a civilization that's hostile and starts destroying them, they're allowed to bomb their planet or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think we would feel bad about that. I think we'd just be like, okay, you're dead now.
Yeah.
Get better, son. Although in reality, if they have if they can get to us, they obviously have the technological upper hand.
Yeah, exactly.
So I feel like we'd lose that fight, but still,
exactly.
I don't think we would feel bad about it.
Yeah, I kind of agree. So, yeah, I guess so. We've been talking a lot of science fiction-y stuff. How about let's turn more to the realm of the fantasy. We've been saying that it takes the soul to. Ooh, here's an interesting one. How about ghosts? Because typically in fiction and in stories, ghosts are portrayed as a soul, but what we've been talking about earlier, the soul, the mind, the self, without a body because the body has died or something. So,
right.
And would it be immoral to kill a ghost or exorcise it, I suppose would be the more common term, but...
Exorcise it? Well, exorcising is just where you send it away from where it is, so I mean...
Okay. Would it be morally acceptable to destroy a ghost's spirit? I'm not really sure of the mechanics of how that would work, actually, but assuming we found a way. We've Ghostbusters this thing and destroy the ghosts.
Okay.
Because, I mean, based on our previous definition of humanness is just having a soul, well, I mean, a soul has a soul or is a soul, so... I don't know if we can do that.
You know, I feel like that would be wrong. That would be a bad. Assuming. Oh wow, that's a really big one. Assuming that like the ghost hasn't done anything to you, like it hasn't tried to harm you in some way.
Well, even if it has. No, what if it has?
Oh well, I mean, like then it gets into the same thing. It's like, well, if someone breaks into your house and then you kill them because I don't know, they're trying to steal your stuff. At least in Texas, you can do this in Texas. If they're trying to steal your stuff, you could shoot them, and
That's
like
true.
it's not murder.
All right, you're right.
You didn't kill anybody.
Yeah, that.
So if, like as long as if it does anything harmful to you, well then no, like
it would be self-defense.
Kill it. Yeah,
and
I wouldn't consider that murder.
Huh.
But the question here isn't exactly what is murder. The question is it a human? I think is the topic we were really
right.
going
That's
for.
the topic we've been aiming at this time.
So I wouldn't consider that murder, but I think that I think as long as the ghost is not disturbing you and like is like, I would say yeah, it's still human, but it's. I don't like where this is going.
In the game or in our discussion?
In our discussion, I don't want to say that ghosts are humans, and because that doesn't make sense. Ghosts aren't humans; they are like once human.
Hey, you've got weapons now. I think you can grab their arms and use them as weapons, which is pretty funny.
I can. So I'm going to switch to that. So I think I don't want to say that a ghost is human. That seems like a nonsense to sentence.
Right. I think at this point, like I said, I wanted to start out trying to say what a human isn't. I think we can now try to say what is a human. Define positively what is a human. So, we starting off our qualifications, we definitely need a soul, or at least had a soul at one point, or was aware at one point. That covers our case of the person with permanent brain damage. Is that it? Like, is that all it takes?
I see. Well, okay. If the question is if we're gonna go for that, then we go to is the soul itself a human, or does a human have to be the combination of it?
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, I think under dualism, that is what it has to be. You have to have a body.
Yeah, you have to have a meat suit.
Yes.
And then I guess
the size of which does not matter.
Right. So, which is why we were saying if our ancient Greek philosophers who came up with dualism could read science fiction novels and see, stories of like Futurama where you've got Nixon's head in a jar, they would still consider that a human, even though the body or the meat isn't as large or in the same shape as it is most of the time. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Interesting. So, I know I've been talking a lot about science fiction because that science fiction tends to ask this question a lot of what, in the wake of technology advancement X, are humans still human? What if humans in some far distant future ascend to a higher plane of existence and become like pure energy beings or thought beings who no longer we can shed the constraints of our fleshy bodies? And yeah, I don't know. There's plenty of stories about that kind of thing, or I believe 2001: A Space Odyssey. That's what happened to the aliens that the guy discovers. So that was a weird movie, but yeah, ascending to a higher plane of existence is something that comes up in science fiction quite a lot.
Yes, and I think you're answering your own question because you say we become these beings, these energy orb things. We become something because we're not human anymore.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
So yeah, I feel like once you lose the body, just like the same thing with the ghost, or like if your spirit or whatever, once you die, you aren't a human anymore. Now you are just a soul.
Right. Which, I mean, obviously we don't meet any souls on their own in the real world, probably. But if we did,
No, I think you just ticked off part of our fan base.
Oh no. Let's say if we regularly met souls wandering around without bodies, we'd probably have to redefine what makes a human, or at least put more thought into it. But for now, since we don't see those too often, if ever, I think we're fine. But yeah. So I guess a human doesn't need to have like human DNA or human arms or legs. So there's no body requirements. It's just you have to have a body of some kind, is what we're saying. And the soul, which is the...
Oh, wow. Oh, that's a big boy. Okay. He's got a lightning rod. I don't like that. So, I think...
If you hit it, you can get stuff. I think if you hit it, you can get stuff. Maybe since you're short on... Oh, there we go. Yeah, so I think we've maybe come to a bit of a conclusion that to be a human or be deserving of human or intelligent rights or whatever terminology you want to use, because for now the only people we know of who deserve those are humans. We don't know any alien civilizations. There's no computers or AI that are even close to raising that question of if they deserve those rights. But yeah, I think we can say you need a soul and a body, and what those look like, I don't know. Maybe we should have another episode in the future where we talk about what does it mean? What is a soul or a mind or a heart or a spirit, and what are the distinctions between all those things? Are there any distinctions? That'd actually be a fun topic, but that's a little too off trail for now. We're running not super late, but I don't think we have time for that today.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
But so I think you raise an interesting question because you talk about like you just need a body, it doesn't matter what body. Well, okay, so then if you do like a Freaky Friday kind of thing where my soul gets dropped or gets put into a dog, do I still get human rights?
Yeah, based on our definition, yes, you should. I don't know how many people would honor that, and how you would like make it clear that you are still in the body. You'll have a human mind in the dog's body, so you shouldn't die. I don't know how you would. I guess maybe you could like write on the ground with your dog paws. Yeah, there'd probably be, if you're clever, there'd be some way to figure it out, and at least send a message.
Yeah, I think Well, I guess the actual question is, am I human?
Yeah.
If I have a dog body.
So we can agree you deserve human rights, but are you human?
I asked you.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if we're... Yeah, I honestly, this is the cop-out answer. I tend to make cop-out answers a lot on this channel, I've noticed, but it's all right. It depends on what your definition of human is. That's not even an
no,
answer.
that is exactly what we're here for, to find the definition of human.
Yeah. All right. In that case, I'll go out on a limb. I'll say to be human in our sense, you need a mind, or like a human mind, and at least part of, or the required parts of a human body. So you can still be a human if you're missing a limb, or if you're missing an ear or an eye. But if, say, you're just half of a brain in a jar, you probably still deserve some rights, but I don't know if I would qualify that as human in the fullest sense. If that makes sense.
You have to have human DNA.
Yeah, I would say human DNA and then a number of human organs. I'm not exactly sure what that number is, but like I would say probably a brain, a heart that's still functioning, or at least is being assisted by medicine or whatever. I'm not sure what the exact number of organs it takes or which ones are required, but yeah, that's going to be my answer. And I'm saying we should clarify, if we come across an alien civilization, we could still say they deserve rights, but we wouldn't say, oh, the Lunarians are humans. They're a different species, even if they deserve similar rights to us. And again, I think it would be interesting to, if we really did make that comparison, we would have to put a lot of thought into, well, how many rights do they have? Do they have the exact same moral should we hold them to the same moral code and give them the same moral rights as humans? Because perhaps Lunarian society doesn't say no to murder or something similar. That would be a very interesting conversation, but I think...
Oh, this is a really cool... I like this just frozen pit image.
Yep. Yeah, we would have... I think we can't really have a super productive conversation about that right now because there's just too many hypotheticals. It would be... Our conversation would be like, well, if Lunarian society says X, then we would treat them X, and if they don't, we don't. So, yeah, I don't know how productive of a conversation we can have. I think, sum it up, I said this earlier, I'll say it again for clarity. If we met an alien civilization, they would deserve some rights. Exactly what rights would have to be determined by what they are, how our two civilizations interact, how they act, things of that nature.
Okay.
But I think I can confidently say if we meet the Crystal Men from Alpha Centauri, they're not humans.
No, and I think that you're overthinking how we would treat them. We would treat them just like we treat any other society that's different than ours. Other countries think that, I don't know, like mutilating children is okay if it's done in like this special way. Like, sure, go for it, mutilate that child.
Oh no, are we back at moral relativity again?
Well, not necessarily moral relativity, but I'm saying that whether or not they are right or wrong is irrelevant to how we as a society, as like Americans, how we treat them. Yeah, we just treat them as like, well, we would prefer you did not do that. Yeah, please don't mutilate children. I want to go on record and say we should not mutilate. Don't do that, please.
Yeah, I think I can confidently say.
No one has ever asked you not to.
Yeah, hot take: don't mutilate children. Okay, glad we've established that. Yeah, shoot him. There we go. But it is okay to mutilate this video game character because it's
What? I totally hit him.
You know what?
I hit him first.
I think you deserve it. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I think that we would treat them just like we treat every other society that has different ethics than us.
But I think the fact that they are demonstrably a different species would at least complicate things, I think.
I don't think so. In what way would it be any different?
For
Other
example,
than the fact that we can't have alien babies.
okay. For example, have you read Ender's Game?
I have not.
Okay. Classic science fiction novel by Orson Scott Card. One of my favorite sci-fi novels, actually. It's very good. I'm going to spoil a little bit, so if those of you who care about spoilers, I guess don't listen to this part. But it turns out the alien civilization the humans are at war at, members aren't really people. It's more like each of their individual worker drones is like the equivalent of a human toenail or something. So they don't consider killing wrong because, well, it'd be the same as like cutting off someone's hair. You're not seriously taking another life. So if we interacted with another civilization that was like that, you know, we would have to re-examine how do we how do we think about killing? Or let's say if we come across a race of sentient rocks who don't need oxygen, or like think very differently than us. I don't know. It depends a lot on the biology and existence of these alien races, but I think it would change some things, or we would at least have to think about how it could change some things. You might want to
Okay, I
pull out a
guess.
sword and hit these guys. Yeah.
I don't have a sword.
Okay, well, hit one of them, and then grab one of their things.
I was also trying to do. It looks like these guys don't have weapons.
Just,
They're just throwing rocks at me.
well, I guess that kind of stinks.
Okay, there we go. All right, I don't need those things. I don't even know what I use them for.
You can use them to make potions, but yeah. I actually, later on, I think you can sell them to vendors to make money. So,
Yay, money.
yay, money.
All right, so I guess I could see how like it could possibly.
But again, that's what I was saying of.
Complicate things a little bit.
That's what I was saying of. This is a lot of hypotheticals. We would need to actually learn what these aliens are about before we can start making conclusive statements.
Okay, I can get behind that. Like, yeah, we can't just, as much as we would like, we can't just make the blanket statement because.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
you've died here a couple times, but yeah, I
Yes.
think we've pretty much covered it. It's
So, for our definition of what a human is it is a soul.
or
plus-
okay, hold on. It has a soul, or at least has had the potentials to have a soul. You know, that is an interesting question of if you're permanently in a permanent coma, do you still have a soul?
I
Probably
would think
yes, but regardless, we'll say if you do or have the potential to have one, if you recover in a certain way, let's say.
Okay.
That's a lot of words. You know what? Sure. I'm gonna hot take. People in comas also have souls. So yeah, if you have a soul and you have a body that is made of human parts of a certain level, that's a certain amount of human parts, because this also gets into the question of, well, what about a cyborg? If you implant a computer inside you or inside your eye to help you interface with the neural network that we're definitely all going to get forced into in the next 30 years or whatever. Is that still human? Probably. But so I'm
I
not
would
quite
say, yeah.
sure what that line of required human meat is, but I think it's there.
Ironically, in Futurama, they actually play this out where one of the characters gets like so many implants that eventually he's just a robot with a brain, and then he's like, "I'm still human. I have a human brain. No robot will ever have a human brain." That's what makes me human.
And then is the punchline, there's a robot with a human brain around?
Oh no, he goes full on. He's like, "I need to get rid of my human brain," and then they put his body back together to Frankenstein. So then he's back to being exactly like he was.
Sounds like Futurama.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna kill this guy. This would be I'm gonna say it. This is murder. I'm gonna murder this guy.
Maybe
like-
self-defense. I mean, he was trying to kill you earlier. Well, perhaps
I'm gonna get it.
perhaps he did some self-defense against you. So,
Yeah.
what can I say?
So human meat plus soul equal human.
Yeah, that's definitely not too reductionist or anything. But
I mean,
yeah,
I mean, you could just replace human with Homo sapien. You have to have Homo sapien DNA, Homo sapien meat plus a soul. equals human.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think this is a good segue for a future topic. Maybe next week, maybe next year, who knows. But to talk about what is a soul, because that is I'd say, trickier and more esoteric to talk about. But, whatever the soul is, you need it.
Yes.
All right.
I think, like I said, I think, at least for now, the working definition is just that a soul is the thing that does the thinking.
Right.
That's what a soul is.
Hey, you knocked him off a cliff.
So.
Pretty cool.
All right.
Let's see if you can get past these guys now, or if you're gonna die one more time.
I'm not gonna die. I'm not gonna die. In fact, I'm gonna eat some food right now.
Smart.
I'm gonna survive.
All right.
I will survive.
You will survive. Okay. All right. Still living. Still living. Oh.
Oh no.
Well,
okay.
okay.
I will not survive.
Perhaps
All right,
a
well,
change in
that's-
tactics is due for the next time. But
Yes.
with all that out of the way, thank you so much for watching. If you are a human who has both a soul and a meat, or meat in you, neither way sounds particularly good. If you are a human who likes leaving likes, please leave a like. Drop a comment on how actually you're a brain in a jar, but you're still perfectly human because you still have some meat. Or if you're a ghost, tell us all about what it's like to be a ghost and if you face discrimination from more traditional humans for your ghostliness. Or even if you don't want to say any of those things, you can just leave a comment anyway. Subscribe to the channel for more ghost topics and alien murder
Hit that
discussions. Yeah, and watching Justin fail to play video games.
Yeah.
With all that out of the way, yeah, we'll see you next week.